Okay, welcome back, everyone. We are jumping right in again with Shunta Grant. And we've had this great conversation this week about opting out of struggle, about really tangible and thoughtful ways that Shunta has made her professional life really joyful. And I always like to end with talking about personal life because I feel like, and again, I'm speaking for myself, I'm always talking about my business on the podcast, but I feel for myself, I think a lot of women are like me in the sense that like I had my professional life together. I had boundaries up the wazoo. I told everybody I got my planner and my sparkly pen last episode. I had that down, right? And I feel like Black women, we naturally excel professionally, and it's a little bit easier to see like where you can put those boundaries in your workday.
Yeah.
But my personal life was the last area of my life that I infused with joy. And part of that was a combination of like expectation, and we talked about struggle and what your life's supposed to be like you said, adulting's supposed to be terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was part of it. And also like the same tools that I use in my professional life or was comfortable using, I was less comfortable using in my personal life, setting boundaries with family or friends or, romantic relationships. Not as good with that, right? And so I've been on a mission as well to not just talk about how people cannot burn out professionally, but also how they infuse joy in their personal life. And you started talking about that a little bit when you talked about your dynamics with your children, your family. But I want to explore that more in any way, direction you want to answer that. How are you bringing joy? You've got a successful business. You've opted out of struggle. But how are you doing that in your personal life? How are you centering joy there?
Yeah. Again, with joy being a core value, I want to make sure that I see that right when I go home as well. And you're right. It is sometimes so much easier to put up those things in your professional life because you can do that. But when you're communing with people or you're just in different kind of kinship with people in your real life, that can be a little more challenging. So for me, the way that I really infuse joy in my life, it's because again, it's a part of who I am. And so I like to have fun. I like to have a good time. I identify the things that I love to do and I pour everything into them. So that looks like hikes with family and friends. Also, let me stop. That starts with the people that are in my life. I think that's actually the first thing. I have pleasant, kind, loving people in my life. It's so funny. About 3 months ago, I had an encounter with someone and it was really unpleasant. And I was talking to my friend about it. And I was like, my body almost, like my body felt some kind of way. I had to journal when I left because I realized I don't have encounters with unpleasant people in my normal, regular life, right? I hired my team. I'm here in my office and in my life, I just have pleasant people. And so for one, that makes it very easy, right? And when you have pleasant, kind people in your life, we're all still human. That doesn't mean no one that you're not going to have a disagreement with, but I just start there because I have people in my life who also value me and joy. That is one of the ways that makes it really easy. So now I can go into like my relationships, my friends. We love doing things that we love together, getting together for dinner. I love hosting. I'm so glad to be able to be doing more of that now. We love going on hikes with our children. I love going to lunch or brunch with friends. Having my own time. This is actually really important and actually necessary for my joy. This is necessary for my joy. I have to have time to myself. My introversion has grown with my age. And it's not that I can't be in groups. It's just that I need time with me. Every morning, every night. And I do a quarterly staycation. So we live in Greenville, South Carolina, which puts us very close to Charlotte, Asheville, Atlanta, which is home for me. So I go somewhere that I can drive quickly. On a Thursday night or Thursday after drop off. And I come back Sunday morning to be with my family in time for church. And that is time where don't call me. I might FaceTime y'all at the end of the day, but it is time where I will sometimes go and I'll work. All right. But usually it's like I eat the food I want. I just enjoy the quiet, but I need that for me. And that is a necessary part of my joy is identifying who I am and what I need. And then making sure I'm pouring into that, so that I can then pour into all the other relationships I have. Like I mentioned, I have 2 small children. And when you have 2 small children who are, sounds like they're killing each other in the other room, you need to be able to infuse or tap into that like restored joy. So you go in there and not, be Godzilla. You want to walk in and be able to, I'm trying to do all the nice intentional parenting things that we're learning in this also new generation, right? So
Yes.
I need that so that I can show up as the kind of parent, the kind of employer, the kind of friend, the kind of spouse that I could want to be. So for me, it is first knowing about the people in my life, two, knowing what I need, time for myself, and three, filling my life with the things that I love. Every Saturday, our family, we have brunch. Every Saturday morning we go to brunch unless for some reason someone's traveling, and that's very rare. That's our time, because during this Monday through Friday in the school week, meals are kind of like, you got 30 minutes, time for baths, time for this, in the morning, you got 20 minutes, time for school. Saturday, I don't want to get up and cook because I would be the one to cook. So what we're going to do is going to get up and we're going to go straight to brunch every Saturday morning. We all look forward to it. It's time for us to linger over a meal. And it's just something that really brings me a lot of joy. I know my children will remember this. So it's finding those things that really matter to me and allowing life to be simple. I have nothing to prove to another human on the planet. I have to live the life that feels good in my body and the people who call me, who live in my home. And because I focus on that, I hope what I'm also doing is giving so many other people permission and freedom and a model of what that looks like. Not a model in, oh, I should have Saturday brunch too, but no, well, what does that look like for my family? What matters to me? And really, I always say every time I talk about myself, my hope is that it helps people to think about themselves. I'm not telling you a story about me for you to think about me. I'm telling you a story about me for you to think about you. And so those are some of the things that help me infuse joy in my life.
All of that is just so well laid out. So one of the things I also, just to pick a thread of what you talked about, I think part of why people don't have a lot of joy in their personal life is because it's, for women particularly, and Black women, it feels like the last area we discover is ourselves. Like we spend our whole lives discovering our professional aptitude, like what we're good at, what we do. We spend our lives in reaction to others, fighting against isms or fighting against generational trauma, whatever it is. And it feels like the final frontier, unfortunately, for a lot of us is, oh, me. What do I want? And so I would say the first step to having a happy life, which is your personal life, is not being afraid to get to know yourself. And I think that there's a lot of fear about that, because the fear becomes, I've already messed it up, right? Like, even if I'm 22, it's like, I've already done messed up 22 years of my life, and I discovered this about me, and I don't like this. For me, I discovered late in life I was an introvert. And trust me, could nobody tell me I was an introvert. I thought I was, and everybody around me was like, you're an extrovert. And I was believing it too. And then it was like, the amount of years I was like, friendships could have been smoother. Like things could have been better if people knew that, like, after a while, I go to zero battery and I'm just like not functioning. And people are thinking, oh, she's angry. What happened? This bubbly person. Point of me saying this is that I realize that, like, I want to say in 35, maybe, it's really a really new realization that I've even used the language, I'm an introvert. And I think to myself, man, I wish I hadn't been so scared to like really think about why this was happening. I was too busy telling myself struggle narratives, right? And when I did that, I was like, oh, this is great. Now I can tell people I'm an introvert. So when you start seeing me glaze over, I don't hate you or the conversation. I'm on zero battery. This is just a small example of the ways that we avoid discovering. We're our own final frontier. And we're afraid sometimes to discover who we are. And so that's like one piece. And then the part is, once you know what that is, building rituals. You talked about, Saturday brunch is your family's ritual. And for you, your quiet time. Once you know yourself, so like I realized I was an introvert, I discovered rituals that would restore me. And it was like, oh, this is why you love reading and you love getting in your tub. And it's like, it's not an indulgence, it's a necessity now. It's like tub time. If my hair ain't blown out like it is today, right? We get in that tub 2 to 3 times a week and just getting our book and relaxing. I built a ritual. And once you know yourself, you build these rituals, guess what happens? Good people come into your life. Like the people who match the energy and the effort you've been putting into your own life show up. Because I'm sure you
Yes.
didn't live your whole life with every single human who has ever been in your life was like the most pleasant and wonderful. Like you had to get to a shedding moment.
No.
That's a whole nother
Yeah.
podcast we could do about how you get rid of the people in your life that aren't. But I got to that level too. I'm at a place now where I have interactions with people that are pretty awesome. But I had
Mm-hmm.
to know myself, build a ritual where I prioritized taking care of myself and what mattered, to
Yeah.
then be available to good people, because I don't think I was,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
to them to show up. It's for me to be like, oh, okay, this is great, or to readjust the relationship that I had to improve them. So I really like those three things that you laid out, because I can see how
Yeah.
they tie into building a happy personal life.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, yeah, you said exactly. I love, like you said, realizing the things that you, like a bath, it wasn't, oh, this is, oh, I don't have to. No, you literally need, think of it like if your doctor prescribed something, you would
Yes.
say, oh, I don't have time to take that. No, it's something that you need, and realizing that and then honoring that. That's another thing. And it's so funny because I always start everything with intentional living with, who are you? You're so right. I've talked to 60-year-olds who can answer that question. "Well, what do you mean? I'm a mother." Who are you outside of your title? Don't tell me your titles or your roles, because you're a human outside of that. And it is, it's not a question many women have been given space or opportunity to even think about. And so I'm so glad that you have that's out here through your work, because it's so important. It's the foundation, because we build on that. Who we are now, because otherwise, what are you doing? What are you building on, right?
Right.
Because if you don't know who you are, how are you honoring that? How are you, like you said, creating those rituals? If you don't even have any idea, you're living by default. You're whoever they say you are. I'm this role, this role, this role, and then you treat yourself like which is why everything is about a role, and you forget I'm a human who has needs that need to be fulfilled, so that I can show up into all these other places. So I just think that is so important. It starts with who you are.
Yes, it's who start there. I think that's a great place to leave, because we started with something small, well, small but not simple, right? Uh,
Yeah.
start start there. Like, who are you, and start bringing those pieces into your life to center joy in your personal.
Hmm.
Shunta, this has been an extraordinary conversation. I'm so excited we connected. Tell everyone
Yes.
how they can connect with you, and know that obviously we're going to put those all in the show notes for you all to check out. But tell us how to connect with you.
Yeah, the best place is I have a weekly podcast called the Best Day Podcast. It's where you're listening to this podcast, you can listen to it there. Our my company's website is besttoday.co, and then the work that I do, where I go in and help organizations and teams to do this same type of work as well. That's at shuntagrant.com. I don't spend a lot of time on the socials, but every now and then you can find me on Instagram at Shunta Grant. But the website and the podcast are the best places to get started.
All right, awesome. We look forward to checking those things out. Shunta Grant, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you. I'm just so grateful to know you. This has been so, so good.